Perfectly organized. Thank you very much, Christiane and Katrin, and thank you all for inviting me as a moderator. I'm very happy to do that because I'm interested in the project we are going to visit today. And I would like to introduce to you the speakers, one of which just vanished, Johannes Rauch. Could you perhaps switch on? Yes, thank you very much. Hello. I'm very pleased to introduce a politician of the Austrian Greens who has been a state councillor of Vorarlberg since 7 years now, and his portfolio is quite impressive. It's enormously wide-ranged. He is responsible for climate protection and environment, for climate change mitigation, for energy, public transport and cycle paths, railway infrastructure, waste, computer science and mechanical engineering, which might be a slight connection to our other speaker. Johannes Rauch started his political career in the early days of the Austrian Green movement in 1985. He was a municipal councillor first in a small place called Rankweil, and has been in the leading team of the Green Party in various positions ever since. Thank you for being here. I will address you a little later after the talk of our second speaker, who is Manfred Vith. He is an electronic engineer, if I'm right, a biologist by training. Thank you for accepting the invitation. He joined the then startup Omicron in 1990 and worked in different disciplines. His focus lies on international strategies and organizational development, and he works as a consultant close to technology research projects and is strongly involved in value management and business ethics. He is furthermore not only a businessman and an expert in electronics and biology, but also an ornithologist in the alpine terrain. So he knows everything about birds, probably also about the bees, we will see later. And he's exceptionally engaged also in politics to some respect, and of course, with respect to ecology and habitats. May I invite you, Manfred Vith, to introduce the business area, which is going to be the basis for our discussion today. It's the business area of Omicron. Perhaps you can add whatever I missed in your biography and explain also where the place is where we are going to visit and how it all came into being. Thank you.
So thank you, Lilli. Can you hear me? Okay, fine. So I try to share my screen. So can you see the presentation?
Not yet.
I have already shared. Possibly the moderator should allow me.
Perhaps.
So the host should allow me to share my screen, please.
It should work now.
Should work. I try again. Okay.
Did you push the blue button?
Trying again. So
it works now.
It works, okay. Took some minutes. All right, can you see everything? Lilli, can you see the screen?
Yes, we see
it. Okay, fine, thanks. I didn't get that. Oh, thanks a lot for the opportunity to introduce a little bit the company as well, what we are going to do over the years. And Well, I will give a very brief introduction what we are doing, where we are located, and switching on to the topic of today. And maybe we have afterwards the possibility to dive into the topic. Yes. First of all, when you look at this chart, at this picture, then you see on the yellow circle, you see the region of Boston, and behind at the east coast, and this is a possibility to explain what we are doing. This is a big blackout happened in 2023, and the company I'm working for is looking after the whole chain of the generation and usage of electricity. And this power systems has to be very safe. And if such an event is happen, you can imagine what's going on here. And this is a purpose which leads to the company. I have a short picture here. You see the whole chain from a generation to the usage of power, and we do analysis and the different interpretation, measuring everything around that chain. As well, we doing more and more creating concept for towns, like let's say for the town of Zürich close by, to avoid upcoming difficulties and to make the town safer if an event is coming up. Here, one picture, an engineer of us is working at a use case at a substation. I think the picture is made in Vorarlberg. Yes, just you have a little impression. You see a device which is made and developed in our company, and what you see here also, people working with these facilities are highly trained and have to do, as I already mentioned, they evaluate the system. We are acting in a worldwide network. The company was founded in 1990, so right now we ended up here. Yes, nicely to see that the whole net in this working on an international base. I would say not on a global base, because the headquarter is located here in Vorarlberg, but we have international offices and for doing calibrations or repairs and support, especially for the sales group. We have about a turnover of about 150 millions per year. Right now, 900 people around. I'm not quite sure, but I think about 900 now. International in Vorarlberg, it's about 350. I'm not quite sure, but in this area. And what interesting is that we have about 50 different cultures of people here in the company. So we have a really intercultural exchange we have to deal with. As already said, so we are in the western part of Austria, and the map you see, this is a closer look in the region of Rankweiler towards Bregenz, Rankweiler, where Johannes is coming from, and myself, I live close to this region. Yes, and when we look a little bit closer, you see here in the center the area of Omicron, surrounded by industry, because in the center of Vorarlberg, the industrialization is quite high. Here, from the bird's view As an ornithologist, I can say that from the bird's view, you see the roof of the maybe as a first idea, the roof of the company, which is quite green with some small places to sit and to go for. We use for several activities, working as well as for let's say reviews with people and yes. So this is part of the working space. Now I'll switch to some impressions, maybe some pictures of the headquarter. We already build up a nice building in UK, which is also highly ecology. The setup is really ecological, and when you look here in the UK, the business is going around, so it's really something a highlight there, I would say. But here you see a kind of architecture and the green around the outdoor space, so to say. We got several prizes for the architecture because to me it's very important that it has a lot to do with architecture as well. That if you are in the planning process, as you know, and you are able to include also the outdoor space and everything, then the architecture will be influenced by that. And so we can see some pictures, some results of the building. This is the newest building. We have two here. And the ecological standard of the building is very, very high. I can say that. This means the heating concept or everything, or the material we use. And so therefore it somehow fits to the what you see from the outside view here. So this is another view. On the left side, you see a picture from the roof, and also the small wall here. And on the right side, there's the water renaturation, which was made together with the government. And this is also a nice border to the village close by. Here you can see a view from inside through the windows. So that's also a little one picture you see from the space, from the working space we offer to our employees. When we started, some words to the what our vision, mission, and values so called. When we started in 1990s, we were lucky that the founder of the company was really interested in having a company which is offering a good working space. This means should be high innovative on one hand. So it's interesting to work, and also to having a really good standard of the workplace itself. And therefore, when we had the possibility to build our own house here, I'm sitting here, that we really tried to include many things to have a good space here. And we started, and myself, I was involved at this time from the concept of the offices, that we said everything at this time 30 years ago, at this time we said everything starts at the office, and the office should be a kind of membrane which leads to outside. And so we always were interested to keep that, to to keep that connection to the outside, and having small rooms for software development, and on the other hand, very high level of communication, because at this time, and the process of documentation and everything was decreasing, and that talking to each other and having small talks and exchange was increasing, and the documentation was decreasing at this time. So the building always should support that important element, having spaces which are calm for software development, as an example, and on the other hand, meeting people, and this was leading us to the outside, also to include the outside and the outer space as well. When we look at this chart a little bit, so in the innovation with passion was very important, and create the best place to work was a target we achieved many times. Got the feedback of external assessments that we were really best also rated in Europe. And the third element, which is strong related to the founder, is we changed the word for the better. We said that we want to give something back if I would say, if the company is running well. So you see here the first elements to bring something in the see some a company in a wider range. Having to how we do that, this for the mission, like we try to have always an extraordinary support and well-trained people. That's maybe an important thing. But this leads us to the yellow circle, where the values, I would say, at home. And the creation of the values I did with a team of, I would say, 7 years ago now. We did a great update here, and the interesting thing was to not to do it top down from the CEO downwards. So we had the idea to do it in a different way. Next slide can show that. So I had a chance to to invite 25 people from all over the world by random selected. So we put all the people in a hut, and then we chose 25 of them, and they came from US, they came from India, from everywhere in the world, and we were meeting in Vienna for 3 days. And then we took over. This is a very, very interesting process, because we took over the responsibility with the team to come out with the new values of the company. And these values would have binding nature. This means the CEO, let's say the values were not that nicely, so it was not able to change it from the top management at Omicron. So therefore it was somehow interesting, and we had a lot of talks about ethics, nature, bioethics, aesthetics, all the elements, and really with a random selected team. And this also gave a strong impact, and maybe give you a little bit an insight about the company culture, which was proven there, I would say, in a good way. We took some risks there, that's clear, because not every leader is willing to take over that, to hand over that to his people, but the effect was quite a strong one. And therefore we could again, and this is an element which is to do, we should do always that to reinvent, to stabilize, to update what we have with people, and then to talk about the values and the ethics in a company. And this is just to understand also, when if somebody from China or US or South Africa is here, that he also tries to understand what we are doing with our money. We invested in architecture, in nature, and just having a good working space, which is transparent to the outside. And in strategy, I have to do a lot. We talk always about the inside out strategies or outside in strategies. And when we look at the process with including, let's say, outdoor space and such things, this is very important to communicate to all of our people, and to discuss with him, have a critical discourse always, and even the figures will maybe one time decrease a little bit because it's economy. So we should stand behind that concept. That will be proven in the future. I'm pretty sure, but then we should not forget about what we have done here. So we should stay to that. And this is what we discuss, I would say, always here, as good as possible. Okay, so this might be the end of the input.
Okay, thank you very much. I think you gave a very good explanation of how your concept of integrating outer spaces fits into the ideology of your company, and also of the leadership in your company. Perhaps you can, yes, that's a very nice picture. Thank you very much. Before we open the floor to the discussion to the public, I would like to add a few questions which might allow you to explain the project itself a little bit more. The project it's located in Rankweil. It's located in the close vicinity to a little stream, which was also renaturalized, and where people go out for recreation. It's part of a footpath in the village. And what you see here was, I think that's the part where you started off with a Swiss landscape architect to develop the outdoor spaces in an ecological way. And then you added another building. And between the two buildings, there's a huge area for the outdoor recreation, I think, for your employees. But is it also open to the public?
Yes, it's open to the public. And we have a small field for playing soccer and so on, and children around are invited to do so. And yes, so we have somehow a active open strategy for that. Yeah, so.
So the values you try to realize for your own business is also something you stretch out onto the community and society as such.
Absolutely.
So that's a high standard of values, I would say. Is there one thing which is really interesting to know for me is that a strategy which is profitable for your business? And do you know other colleagues or companies who do the same? You know, we have this term of greenwashing, which is very critical. And in your case, this is not true, but in other cases, we can't really judge so easily how far the intention of really creating habitat and biodiversity is the basis for decisions. So do you know of is it a trend, and international perhaps, because you work globally, that businesses are striving for improvement also for ecology? or are you exceptional also in this case?
Well, this is a not an easy question. So, and to compare other companies in this regard, it's quite difficult. You know, I can tell you that we won a prize for company culture for the. Sorry, that was a call, incoming call. We received a prize for an outstanding company culture from the European Foundation for Quality Management. I had a speech there in Vienna, and I was invited in big companies like Bosch or the small companies, and looking at this. So yes, I think many companies strive for going further in this way, but to compare this is I would say very it's not easy to do, yes. Mm-hmm. And what I have seen a little bit in my work is that many companies, they look at economy equal to ethics, you know, and to biodiversity, and at the same level. If we, in my opinion, we look critical at this, it's tackling with symptoms, we call it a little bit, because, you know, we say, okay, we are equal and we have some ethics. We use it if when it's mentioned here, but and looking at companies, they look at ethics greater than economy, not only ethics, but have some more a steering factor in it, that ethics in critical situations or in decision making, ethics is a great factor which steers the economy. These companies are seldom. I have seen not so much, but many try. You know, this is not saying black and white, but this leads to self-commitment of a company. This means you have to do it by yourself. You have to have it in yourself, understanding what you are doing, and you are proud of this. That you invest money for things. Some CEOs would say, "Okay, that's a nice thing, but what you are doing when the figures are decreasing, you know," and this I have seen not so much, but people try. Yes, companies try, I would say.
Well, thank you for answering. I will come back to the project in a little while, and I would like to ask Johannes Rauch a question because it fits perfectly well now. Do you see, as we see now, there's a high ethical standard of the business of the company, and they also include some measures which are taken for the general public, which is even more exceptional. So where do you see does public responsibility meet private responsibility? You are a representative of the public. So how do you see your role in a thing like that?
Okay, hello everybody. Good afternoon. I first have to say my day was filled up with a little thing called COVID-19, you know, and it's a lot of stress today, but now I'm here and I'm happy to be here. Let me say some words to Manfred and the company of Omicron. Omicron is a good example for doing the right thing. Omicron is producing electronic devices to avoid blackouts. And it's a nice picture that Omicron now is also creating biodiversity to avoid blackout of nature. So Omicron is a very good example for something. A lot of years ago, and a former American president says, it's the economy stupid, you know? And today, I guess it's more important to say it's the ecology stupid. And Omicron is an example to both things. And that's the message. And if you ask to the responsibility, the responsibility is by the local authorities, by the communities, by the business, and by the private households, everybody. And we try to share it. And one of our most important thing we try to do is to make political decisions faster. We are too slow. And also in my region, we are too slow. We have to do it faster. We have to do more. We have to do it faster. And let me say, Christiane Machold, the queen of biodiversity in Vorarlberg, I want to call her, is a good example for do a long way to bring biodiversity in front of the agenda, the political agenda. And we have to do a lot of kilometers and to spend a lot of time with local authorities, with mayors, with our government, with our communities, to bring biodiversity, climate change, greening the buildings, enforcing renewables, and so on in their minds. It's a hard job to do, and we need such like things like Omicron and others in our country to bring it in front. And Omicron is a very good example. They are how do you call it? A worldwide shining example, because their business is worldwide, and they go for export, and they are talking with a lot of people all over the world. And in their company, there were a lot of people all over the world, and it is a message to other companies in Vorarlberg: do it also. Do it also. Try it. It's important to do it, and it's not only Manfred talked about the figures. What are the CEOs saying, and our steering boards saying if the figures go down? But I guess you have to. How do you say in English? You have to bring it under one head: the economic figures and the ecologic figures. If you don't do it, you wouldn't survive. Other companies in Vorarlberg try it. You talked about greenwashing. Some, let's face it, do it like greenwashing, but it's the wrong way. And in that time, they check it. It's the wrong time. You can't do it for the long run. It's not the way we have to do.
Thank you. I have a question which probably relates to both of you. And I'm a landscape architect, as you might have heard. And as a landscape architect, I'm not only interested in biodiversity, not only, but also, of course, in the way it's designed and it can be used in its functions and so on. So what we talk about is maybe you can call it layers. So there's a functional layer, which relates very strongly to the design, and also there is a layer of meaning, which also relates to the design. The function, ecology is in some way a function, but what we see here, and you see it in the picture, which is on the screen right now as well, what we see here is not only a functioning ecological system, we also see a picture which people associate with natural. So my question is, in the design of the whole place, what role did this image play? And to Johannes Rauch, the question would be the following: do you see a pedagogical role of a place like this? So to Manfred Vith, does design play a role? And to Johannes Rauch, what's the pedagogical, in that sense of a public education role of a place like that? Please, Manfred.
Well, yes, yeah, many things will play a role, as you mentioned. It's everything is important, but looking at the layers, I can just support what Johannes said, that the high integrity, which means what we tell we should do or we will do, really do, is a important thing to have a good foundation of that layer you talked. And this high integrity is also very economic, because I look at our people, they are more resilient if something is not working as we want, if something is not that it does not show that results we are looking for. At this moment, the people are very bond to the company. This means, okay, they tried maybe more a little bit, and this is the economic part where ethics, bioethics, or ecology plays a huge role, as Johannes said, because people more and more realize that. Yeah, and this is. And the layer you talk about is, to me, and you said it as an architect as well. When we look at the office, the smallest cell of a company, it's more or less in the past, in the history, it's more or less an economic area. An office is something where economy happens, and to me, and inside, let's call it inside, there is a resource, not a man, not a human being, there's a resource, and it's the old picture, and it's also still alive, but personally, I think we have to flood that rooms with beauty. I mean, beauty in nature, beauty with having meaningful talks, a little bit more space for that, and to transfer that resource idea only to a human being resource, which means, yes, the people will not leave that fast a company because they start that layer, to accept that layer as a really, really interesting point. And I can tell you, from the economy side, when I'm involved in the compliance issue, this means integrity compliance is a really strong related to only to economy thing, where in a worldwide business. And this means here it's very, very important what people have in the background from the company staying behind. If something is tricky, if you have to do a deal with Venezuela, yes, it's really tricky, but we take time and we really invest money that we find the right players there, which are dealing in a professional way and not in a corrupt way. But this means this needs time, money, and especially backup from the CEO who says, yes, you have to take that time and you have to go beyond that thing. Mm-hmm. And because everything is not economy, it's just a play for something, we all know. And this has to be a little bit built up in a company, in architecture, in how to look at outer space, to the offices, and to the knowledge you provide to people. And to me, I just started last year a little bit more to do trainings for people who are interested in ethics, basic ethics question you have we have had in school maybe or so, but it's so interesting to talk with people in this regard, and you always come to that important question.
Yes. So if I may wrap up your answer a little bit, ethics and aesthetics play a very close, have a close relationship, and they both support the confidence and
absolutely
of your employees, so that it does work economically as well.
yes.
And may I pass on the word to Johannes Rauch now for the question of the pedagogy?
Yeah, the answer is yes, of course. We learn from good examples, and I think Omicron and others in Vorarlberg. So Christiane, we could say Haberkorn or some others are doing same things as Omicron. They are good examples, and the others learn. And the most important, one of the most important impact is, so people, they walk by or drive through, they have a look, and they could see it isn't only the money that rules. It isn't only the money that rules. There are flowers, there are trees, there are it's a behavior for human beings to being outside, to have a walk, to sit there. It's another kind of business. You have a feeling. If you are inside Omicron, outside Omicron, you have another feeling how business can also work and have. And it works, yes, you know. So some of the others say, Omicron, always the same talkings. You know, Manfred, know
Yes,
what I mean. Herbert Pfanner is a guy who is a little bit lunatic, and this Omicron thing, we don't do that. But it was so a few years ago. I guess right now, and also because of the impact of COVID-19, something changes. I guess something changes in heads of Vorarlberg, great international business communities. They have to do another. They have to change targets, you know, and best practice examples. We need best practice examples more and more and more. And the more we have, the more others do it, I guess.
Thank you. So this is a good example which you can show, and you can show that it works, and you can show that it's also possible to realize ecologically sound environments in a business area. I would like to come back a little bit to the architecture and the design, and I have a question of a listener. Ulrike Auf der Heide says it is a very green building where the exterior is clearly visible from the inside. Are the transparent glass panels protected so that bird strikes do not occur? I think this is a very important question, although it may be a detail. How closely do you really relate to the wider landscape and the habitat around your zone? That's something which is an important issue.
I think it goes to me.
Yes,
So,
sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Yes, this is a problem. We are not that close, that we have not so much events in this regard. But as personally, as an ornithologist, yes, a little bit. You can't avoid it so much. But we have outside screens, but they are not always at the right time. They are not down at the right time. So yes, little bit a problem. Okay, and yeah.
So you have to make some compromises. Is that what you're saying?
A little bit, yes. We have breeding birds here in the area for I don't know the English words for, and they are I would say they are a little bit they know the area a little bit, so that's maybe not that but during the migration time, yeah, we have when birds are going back and forward to over the Alps. Yes, so they have a landing page, we would say, on the roof. That's nice, and but we have people here from the facility management. They're really looking at all these aspects, and we try to avoid. Yeah, I would not say that we have not a problem.
Could you perhaps also explain how you developed the whole area? Because you started off with, I think, Kienast and Vogt and Vogt landscape, and then you had a landscape firm continuing. So did you stretch out the design more or less, or did you switch the design? Or because I didn't quite get that myself. Is there a reason for that, or was it just a development?
Yeah, we had architects. They really looked at this, and that was also the contracting thing, that we were looking for architects which are open for, which was Wolfgang Rich and Nägel and Weibel, the architecture of Nägel and Weibel. So at the first section of the building phase, so they were really looking at all the aspects. So, and they invited every time people, and what we a little bit were focusing on, to have to set basic structures. You know, there is some and not to do too much. And then we had a gardener who was starting that. It was not especially the renaturation was not that highly, how do you say, it has not this planning high level degree of planning. It was more or less concept work and some sketches, and just a yeah.
So it wasn't an initial. There were
yes, it's
measures
better.
for
Yes,
nature to come back in.
Yes, yes, okay, exactly.
And so nature mixes, obviously. You have some special items which further biodiversity, like insect hotels and things like that. But for the rest, it seems to merge quite well. Do people merge as well? Do your employees, meet people who take a walk, or does this mix at all, or is this not possible because of time schedules and other things? Do you know?
Yes, it depends a little bit on the project phases, but yes, I would say yes, they like it. We do on a regular basis, we do surveys and asking our employees worldwide, and we see very, very good and direct results. That so they really like all the things around. And because if you sit in the office and you have the possibility to look outside, and you have maybe you have a hard day to work, but you just see that it could be possible to play table tennis or something, which is, I was just looking around seeing people playing table tennis. So it helps a lot. So you are invited to do to relax. You are invited sometime to make a break. And so and people different, that's clear. Some of the people, they don't need it, some yes. And well, I would say the feedback is great.
That's nice to hear. I think I made a bad mistake. I didn't invite the public. Everybody's welcome to post questions in the F&A section down here. And some of you did. Thank you very much. I hope I wasn't avoiding this. There is a question by Anna Maria Velic. Is there an outdoor sitting place close to the small lake? That's an easy one. I joined later, sorry if you talked about it before. No, we didn't. Not precisely, but perhaps you can explain, because we don't really see it on the picture. But perhaps you can...
Yeah, there's several places for several places to sit down, to walk around, as said, and this is also in and outside the building. We have a lot of. We try to offer somehow more than necessary, beyond the, as Johannes said, beyond the doing more, doing just be a little bit having not saying, okay, this is the necessary thing we have to do. It should be more, and this gives somehow the feeling that it's there for you as an employee. Yes, we have sitting elements inside, outside. With and without a roof, you see the picture, and at the roof you see a roof at a roof, and also people are invited to create their space by themselves. So if we have one little thing that some people did their own terrace, for relaxing. So why not?
It's really pathways for the public. It's paths for the entrance of the buildings. It's a mixture of places to rest and to play, and it mixes a little bit. You have mixed it all together a little bit. I would like to pose one of my last questions, I think, to Johannes Rauch, because we heard about the successful architecture. We all know about Vorarlberg being the example for contemporary architecture, winning prizes all over, and even also the building of Omicron won prizes. So my question, if you want, you said, Johannes Rauch, you said that it was a joint effort of everyone involved, of all groups involved, to achieve an improvement of the environment, of biodiversity. And if there are prizes for architecture, can you imagine to support a prize which awards industrial areas with a positive ecological impact? That would be one step for. It's my private idea. Don't think that anybody else told me to ask this question. I think it's an interesting question, which could be the next step.
It's a nice idea. Why not? It's a nice idea. We have a lot of prizes in Vorarlberg, so one more for the future. Yes, it's a nice idea. But let me give me one more minute to have a look a little bit wider away from Omicron and on this industrial area. So Omicron and the CEO of Omicron and the Omicron family, they decide to be at this location and build a new production hall and enlarge the place they were. So other companies do also. So in this industrial area around Omicron, there are about 2,000 jobs, I guess, about 2,000 jobs. And we have a few hundred meters away from Omicron, a railway station, which is small, ugly, a scandal, I told. The buses are not checked with the train, no chance to park your car or your bicycle. It's a disaster. And now, and you have to know, Klaus, this railway station is called Klaus in Vorarlberg, is in the planning scene of the ÖBB, of the nationwide railway company. A little small point on the landscape, a little small point. Because they called me, Klaus, what you want to build a new railway station in Klaus in Vorarlberg? What the hell is Klaus in Vorarlberg? And so I talked the story of Omicron and this area and this industrial area. And I say, what Omicron have done at this place, we have to do at the railway station. It must be a big example how you can do railway stations in another way, in a quality way, in an ecological way. You have to do the best one. You have to place bicycle boxes and car sharing, and the buses must connect to the trains exactly. And you have to greening the roofs and all the thing. I want to build a railway station who is the counterpart to Omicron. So my idea is this industrial region around Omicron, including the railway station, including the landscape around, have to be like Omicron is now. So, you know, the Omicron example has an impact for political planning, for planning the railway station and the surrounding and the bicycle pathways and so on.
So again, it's
I just want to give you an impression that little small decisions like Omicron says, we stay in Klaus in Vorarlberg. They have chances to go everywhere in the world. They have chances to go everywhere in Vorarlberg. No, they want to be there in Klaus in Vorarlberg. Do the company like it is now and the buildings like they are now. And this example gives a push to others. Do it the same way, and we try.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. There's another question by Marina Hämmerle. She asks, what is the local government asking for regarding biodiversity? How can a regulation work to bring in more biodiversity in public and private buildings? That was one question on my list as well. So what are the concrete regulations which you can impose in order to enhance biodiversity?
We have some laws on the local area. We can do it. So the Bautechnikverordnung and the law how to build a building. The problem is there are the communities, and the majors of the communities are the first deciders in a lot of these laws. And so we have to do a process with them together. And it's a chance, but it's also a problem, because I have to get 96 mayors in Vorarlberg under one head, and a lot of them are, how should I say, not very friendly to this idea. But we try this year and next year to do a process to correct the laws, to give it a push for ecological building, biodiversity, a lot of photovoltaic panels, other heating systems, and so on.
Thank you. I think there's a question which is related, which might be even related to something which we haven't touched yet, which is the maintenance. I mean, you have created a good example of a natural environment, but of course it also goes hand in hand with some disturbance. And Stevo Janko asks the questions, the development of vegetation seems to be natural with a number of native species. On the other hand, do you have to deal with some invasive plant species, as many surfaces were disturbed? Manfred, do you know about this?
Yes, we have to deal with it, and by the way, yes, our gardener is looking around at this in this regard and taking care about so. So looking at maintenance means that if you want to have some more ecology in a building or around, that means that you have to invest some money for that. But there are very meaningful jobs around this, and our facility management is quite, I think, a great team with several competences they need. So, but this is really important to invest that money. To say yes, these are working. These are jobs, and small and different. But yes, doing the gardenings, having some maintenance, which is cleaning issues and so on. But yes, it's only a clear decision to make it like this or the other way around, and we have to stand behind that, and because it's easy to say, all right, on the roof there's an easy there are easy concepts for with less maintenance, and so this is not our philosophy. We want it's maybe a little bit too strong said, but we want to have some additional work around the corner, because we have cooperations with disabled people here. They work here, and they have a lot. We have about 5 working places here. People with disabilities. We have a cook here who is serving vegetarian meal with really high quality, that he told me only with this aspect about 50% of the employees, and I think about 200 are eating here day by day, not using the car, driving to the next location. He could turn that about 50% or more people, they use a vegetarian meal now because of the cook, and this is maintenance. This is all about maintenance. Yes, that's true, but important.
Yeah, thank you. Well, Anna-Marie Village asks if you support fauna in the surrounding of the office building, bees, bird nesting places, and other things. So is there an active enhancement of biodiversity?
I didn't get the first.
Do you have nesting places? Are there special measures you take to enhance the fauna, the habitat for animals?
No, that's we are not dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
It's possibly my private thing that I'm looking around, but not.
So what I would like to ask the visitors now is, could you all switch on your cameras so we know who we might have talked to just before we wrap everything up and hand over to our inviting.
Lilli, the attendees cannot turn on the video.
Oh, sorry. That's a shame. Okay. Well, then we have to say, as we are here, perhaps the last thing I would like to say is thank you. Thank you very much for answering those diverse questions, biodiverse questions, I'm tempted to say. And I think we have a very round picture of what your intentions were from the business side and also from the ethical side, and also got some insight into the political levels of action and perhaps regulations which can be taken and can be apt in the future to enhance biodiversity and create sound and aesthetically in pressing environments. So thank you, Johannes, Rauch and Manfred, Vith, very much for joining us. And I would like to hand over to Katrin Löning and Christiane Machold. Thank you.